Hey there, Legal Tea listeners. This is your host, Jenny Roselle. We're back to the celebrity estate planning topic, and for today's episode, we are going to dive into what happened following the death of Amy Winehouse. As many know on here, I'm pretty bad at celebrity names, but even I know Amy Winehouse, so she probably needs absolutely no introduction, but nonetheless, let's get set up for this episode. Amy was a super famous singer-songwriter who sadly passed away way too early, at the too early age of 27 years old. As I researched and wrote this episode, I listened to her music, maybe just I wanted to get in the zone or something. Some of her most famous songs were like Back to Black, You Know I'm No Good, which is one of my personal favorites, Body and Soul with Tony Bennett, Rehab, which is another one of my favorites, and how could you forget about Valerie? She was a great singer-songwriter for sure, and of course we have to mention her hair, her infamous hair and makeup, which she is also very well known for. As we always do on these types of episodes, let's talk a little bit about Amy personally first, and then we will shift into what happened estate-wise following her passing. According to Wikipedia, Amy was born in North London in 1983. As a child, she navigated childhood after her parents divorced, which also included navigating her hobbies and interests. She ended up attending a couple theater schools in London as well, and she learned how to play guitar and even started writing her own music at 14. When she was only 19 years old, she was signed by 19 Management, and that was really the beginning of her career, really. After, she bounced a couple times between management companies. Then, in the fall of 2003, Amy released her first album titled Frank. That resulted in many nominations and many awards and really put her, kind of quote, on the map, so to speak. 3 years later, her next album, Back to Black, was released in the fall of 2006. It too had immense amounts of positive feedback and nominations and awards. And actually, Back to Black ended up being the world's 7th largest selling album in 2008. So good for her. Now, these two albums carried her for a few years. And in 2011, according to Wikipedia, she was touring internationally, but was honestly met with a lot of frustrated fans. At times, she would show up and be really unable to sing due to being too intoxicated. Unfortunately, in June of 2011, she made the decision to cancel the rest of her shows, and it was relayed to her fans, according to BBC News, that she would be, quote, given as long as it takes to sort herself out. Her final performance ever was actually with her goddaughter, where she made a surprise appearance in July of 2011. And sadly, she ended up passing away a mere 3 days after that performance. Now, more personally speaking, there's no denying her issues relating to drugs and alcohol, as well as mental health issues and emotional trauma that she was trying to navigate as well. According to Wikipedia, these problems continued to threaten her career, and in fact, Amy was not even allowed to travel and perform at the Grammys one time due to failing a drug test. It seems that Amy's music career not only ended too soon, but it's also often sadly overshadowed by comments relating to her drug and alcohol use and abuse. It's super sad, but super true. She also battled many mental health issues and past emotional trauma, like I said, from more personal events from her childhood and teenage years that really just resulted in a very troubled life. She did attempt rehabilitation and various programming to help, but problems of all sorts, various types, persisted essentially to her death in 2011. On July 23, 2011, according to Wikipedia, Amy's bodyguard saw her lying in bed and tried to wake her up. He was unsuccessful, but didn't think much about it since she would often stay up very late and sleep well into the morning. The bodyguard came back a few hours later to check on her again, but again, he was unsuccessful. And that's when he noticed that Amy was not breathing and did not appear to have a pulse. So he called emergency services. Once they arrived, Amy was pronounced dead. It was eventually released that while there was no illegal substances found in her body, Amy's blood alcohol content was 0.416, which is more than 5 times the legal, drinking and driving limit. The coroner spoke about the report and said, quote, "The unintended consequence of so much to drink was her sudden and unexpected death," end quote. After her passing, according to Forbes, it was initially reported that she had an estate plan, a last will and testament specifically, and that it was located and that it was, quote, ironclad against her former husband that she had gotten a divorce from. Though as time passed and more details were released to the public, it was actually determined that that was merely a rumor. Rather, Amy died without an estate plan, none at all. And what does that mean, Legal Tea listeners? If you're a faithful Legal Tea listener, you know, if you thought of that weird word or that weird term, intestacy laws, you're right. We've talked about intestacy laws before on here, basically because so many people, famous people and regular people, die without any type of estate plan. So there's these funky named laws called intestate rules or intestacy laws that give those people an estate plan. Well, that's kind of like the state's built-in estate plan for you. That's maybe how to look at it. So that's what happened here with Amy's estate. Her estate was governed by her state's intestacy laws. According to Forbes, the probate records for Amy's estate states that the value of her estate was listed at around $6.7 million in US dollars. Though, after taxes and other debts, the records state that the value would end up likely around $4.6 million in US dollars. Interestingly, on these celebrity estate planning episodes, it's just kind of a random thought of mine. Something I've noticed in some of these celebrity estate values is that they're a tad surprising. And actually, the Forbes article does mention that many did believe her estate would be worth significantly more, even maybe as high as 15 to 20 million. In addition to the value of her estate, the probate records also confirmed a couple of things for us. First, the executor or the administrator of her estate was her father, Mitch Winehouse. And second, the second thing that the probate records confirmed was that since the estate was governed by those intestacy laws, her estate's beneficiaries were confirmed to be her parents. There we go. Mitch and Janice. And just to also note, her parents were divorced, and they got divorced when Amy was like 9 years old, I believe. Now, I did see some reports, some rumors that Amy's former husband, Blake Fielder Civil, attempted to file a claim against Amy's estate. I saw a couple reports, but I truly can't confirm if that was true. I couldn't find any of those reports confirmed on a more reputable website. So I have a sneaking suspicion that was just a rumor. But, know that there were some reports of that. I can't find anything confirming them. Nonetheless, I do not believe Blake received a dime from her estate, as in after she died. Whether through her estate or via a claim, as the rumor states. I believe I saw that when they got divorced, there may have been some money given to Blake as part of, just a routine divorce settlement. But anyway, back to Amy's assets after she passed away. We talked about the estate getting distributed to her parents, right? Mitch and Janice. Ultimately, Mitch and Janice ended up creating and funding the Amy Winehouse Foundation, according to BBC News. And not only that, but Amy's brother, Alex Winehouse, gave up his full-time job in journalism to work at and for the Amy Winehouse Foundation. So this is very much kind of like a family affair in support of their, beloved family member. I stumbled upon an article in The Guardian where her brother Alex was interviewed about an exhibit that was opening up at the time at a local, London area Jewish museum entitled Amy Winehouse, a Family Portrait. Well, through the Guardian article, it really gave a glimpse into the Winehouse's lives. and how they recognized the troubles that Amy had and caused. But at the end of the day, Amy was their daughter. Amy was their sibling. They were family. And if you really nerd out over Amy Winehouse specifically, you should seriously check out that article in The Guardian. It's linked in the source links for this episode. It's a really, really good, well-written article. So back to the foundation. The Amy Winehouse Foundation was established in September 2011. So just a mere few months after Amy's death in July of 2011. According to their website, quote, everything they do is designed to build meaningful connections with the children and young people they work with, to form relationships that foster hope and optimism, end quote. Their website also you should check out if you are a big Amy Winehouse fan. They offer a lot of amazing programs in the UK, like music therapy for young children, recovery housing for young women. There's a recovery pathways program for young people as well. And they also offer a program to provide financial support for music projects, like even outside of the UK. Alex, in the Guardian article that I was just referencing, when talking about Amy's death and, he and Amy's dad, Alex said, Dad had two choices. He could either let it destroy him or use Amy's memory to invigorate himself to do something good, end quote. Now, a little bit more recent news relating to Amy's estate before we wrap up. Just at the end of 2023, Mitch, Amy's dad, is still operating as the administrator of Amy's estate. That just tells me that there may be some lingering little things that the family's navigating. But nonetheless, Mitch, as the administrator of Amy's estate, reportedly filed a lawsuit against two of Amy's very close friends, Naomi Perry and Catriona Gourlay, by arguing that they sent some of Amy's personal property items to auctions in 2021 and 2022. Now, Mitch's argument is that they put the items for sale, quote, in their own names and on their own behalf, and therefore converted Amy's property to their own use, end quote. So that lawsuit was filed right at the tail end of 2023, like December, very late, 20th or something like that. And in February of 2024, just a few months ago, they just fired back a defense against Mitch's lawsuit. And that's the latest thing on this whole piece of her estate that I could find. I didn't see anything about them settling or that the lawsuit being done. So I'm going to use my best lawyer guessing skills and say that that lawsuit is probably still ongoing and still active. So just when you thought that Amy's estate was probably done and over with, well, you're wrong. Things are still getting addressed in 2024 after her unfortunate and too early death in 2011. Alrighty, I think we're ready to wrap this episode up. Next week, we are back to a cautionary tale type of episode where we talk about real life clients, real life cases that I or my office have worked on, or maybe they're just generally good things to know and be aware of so that you do not slip up and turn into a cautionary tale one day. Always good stuff on those episodes. That's it. Those are often my highest listened to episodes, interestingly. So next week, we are going to talk about what are often called simultaneous death provisions in an estate plan. And I actually have a very personal story about it that I'm going to share as well. So that, definitely I've dealt with this kind of thing and I can really speak into it from a personal standpoint. And we'll dive into what simultaneous death provisions are and what the impact of them are in an estate plan. Alrighty, talk to you next week, my friends. Take care and be well.